I would like you to please give a warm welcome to our auditor, Suzanne Bump, and a dear colleague.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see you. I'm delighted to be back here. As soon as Tom issued the invitation, I said yes. I would love to do this. As you know, over the past few years, from my participation and that of my staff, we embarked a number of years ago on modernizing the auditor's office by introducing data analytics capabilities. It has enhanced not just the way we plan and conduct audits, but also enhanced our ability on our public assistance fraud side, the Bureau of Special Investigations, to identify more public assistance fraud. Previously, we were almost 100% reliant upon the state agencies providing public assistance to bring to us cases where they suspected folks were illegally receiving benefits. Now we generate half of our own leads because of our capabilities of analyzing transactions and finding patterns in public assistance fraud areas. But it's really in the audit area that we have seen the most incredible transformation of our work. Our rules-based risk engine is helping us to make better strategic use of our resources so that before we start an audit, before we begin our field work, we already know what it is that we're going to look at. There's no more initiating the audit and then kind of rummaging around in your offices to find out, to see what we can find. We know what we're looking for when we go in. And our advanced analytics platform has won a national award from the Chief Information Officers Association across state government. And I've been really pleased to be able to work with the staff who have implemented this vision. I see Nick Valonis, who's in head of IT here, but Nick has been doing his work under my deputy for administration and finance. And when I was telling Pamela Lomax that at senior staff that I was going to be participating in this again this year, and I told her what the subject matter was, and as I was kind of leading my staff through ideas, a discussion of ideas of what might be presented, I could see actually that Pamela had much more enthusiasm for this topic than did I, because she has been now for years immersing herself in this. It's not perhaps what you would expect of an administration and finance deputy in the state auditor's office, but Pamela has acquired on her own a tremendous amount of depth and understanding in this, and along with the tools that we have been developing that she will tell you a little about, we are trying to figure out now, and will be at our all-staff meeting, which occurs later this week, doing a reimagining of what the auditor's office is going to look like in 10 years. It's an all-staff activity because it's not just the tasks that we're doing that are changing. It's going to be the office itself that's going to be transformed. And so I'd like to introduce to you Pamela Lomax, our Deputy for Administration and Finance.
Thank you, Auditor Bump. At this point in the day, I wish I had an autonomous robot to help me adjust and modify my remarks, but I've done it the old-fashioned way with lots of scribbles on paper. So the auditor talked about my interest, but she did not talk about my obsession. I am obsessed with the possibilities of AI, specifically as that technology is being used in agents, be they real or imagined. Like some of you, I've used Siri, OK Google, Alexa, And I think voice assistants are a little creepy, but they're cool. I've not used smart speakers like the Echo, but maybe I will. What really holds my attention are the imagined agents that we see in movies and film. The synthetics, or the synths, or the humanoid robots, as they're shown in the shows Westworld, Humans, Extant. I've immersed myself really deeply in these shows, and I really enjoy them. Part of that delight is based on, again, acknowledging the incredible possibilities of this technology. But part of that is also based on thinking that shortly down the line, the machines are going to be able to look back at my history to see if I have acknowledged the incredible possibilities of technology. 2 years ago, I had the amazing opportunity to present a session on ethics in data analytics at the IBM World of Watson conference. Attending other sessions and walking around the exhibit hall really had my mind reeling at the ideas that I saw every place I looked. People in all sectors are using AI in very astonishing ways, assisting in cancer diagnosis and treatment. There's a mobile app that helps people manage their diabetes. There's a planning tool that helps teachers create very individualized and targeted learning plans for students at multiple levels within their classroom. But the very first thing I grabbed onto at the conference was, in IBM's vocabulary, AI is augmented intelligence. People working collaboratively with technology to make decisions and using AI to quickly adjust those decisions to respond to rapidly changing conditions. When we push past some of our anxiety-producing thoughts about machines taking over the world or replacing us on the job, we may think of AI in the traditional sense, intelligent technology that can analyze data and use logic to make decisions. But sometimes we, in our agencies and the work that we do, need to make decisions that defy logic. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the challenge for all of us in state government is to think about ways in which we can use AI to improve performance and drive performance, whether that performance is our talent, our staff, or our programs and services. As the auditor mentioned in previous years at this gathering, she and my colleagues have shared with you the story of how our office has been steadily building our data analytics capacity and integrating the use of data analytics into our work. Perhaps it wasn't so long ago that the auditor's office may have been previously fitting the stereotype of filled with risk-averse, green eye shade wearing folks using traditional tools, old methodologies, and reams of paper to do their work. But how all of you do your work has changed, and that's pushed us to change how we do our work. Today, I'd like to share a brief update on our continuing journey along the data analytics path and offer a glimpse of what we continue to work towards. We are currently focused, where we are currently focused is also a framework for our future. Our office will continue to operationalize analytics as the problems, the issues, and the technology continues to evolve. Training for our staff still has to be on a continuous basis, which for some of us is vastly different in how we typically think about work in state government. It's not just about mandated CPEs anymore. It's also about gaining radically different skills or reskilling if we want to remain a part of the changing workforce. We also need to be aware of the changes that are happening across the Commonwealth. Changes in the demographics of our residents, changes in the services we provide, and changes in the way those services are delivered. Auditor Bump has led the way in developing more strategic ways to think about our work, as well as the different tools we use in our efforts to root out fraud, waste, and abuse. Building our capacity to analyze millions of transactions instead of using samples of the data better informs us of the systemic issues that, when corrected, could result in efficiencies that could be transformative to the outcomes of programs and services. Some of you may remember that our initial foray into data analytics, where we were able to really yield meaningful results, was our 2015 mass health audit on managed care organizations. In that audit, we identified over $500 million in improper payments and potential savings. In that work, all 25.5 million fee-for-service claims were analyzed during the 5-year audit period. We could not have been able to do that efficiently or effectively just a few short years prior. The tools that we are operationalizing now support work like this and more. One of our analytic tools has the capacity to do predictive analytics. But in order for that to work, we need to be able to provide a lot of good data on the bad actors so that the tool learns the traits and characteristics of the known bad actors in order to show us who potentially may be starting down that path of fraud and abuse. And currently, our use of AI is not just focused on analyzing all of the data. We also use AI to help us identify risk. We use machine learning to review the output of our analytical tools. We critique those results, and we give feedback to improve the identification of risk. This risk-based approach can allow auditors and investigators to respond just not to a rapidly changing risk environment, but also to move forward on a predictive path if that is the way we are going to go. Most of the staff currently using our analytic tools are auditors and investigators, as the auditor said, from BSI, the Bureau of Special Investigation. The individuals in this unit have it in their DNA to be inquisitive. Many of them are learning how to better question the data, and in doing so, also develop a better understanding of how to ask the right questions. And as the amount of data continues to grow exponentially, we look to AI to help us sift through all of that information. We are also beginning to use these tools in other units, including HR and with our senior leadership team. We all know that one of the keys to increasing performance is to make sure you're tracking the progress towards your goals. We are in the process of building dashboards with key performance indicators to do just that. But how long will it be before we can look to AI being integrated into these dashboards to assist us by providing options on how to increase performance? Will there quickly be an AI tool that questions the goals and the strategies that we've laid out? With today's conversations about AI, it's important to acknowledge the human factor in all of this. No matter how our work evolves, I do hope it's true to say that agencies will continue to employ humans. Our staff need to be supported with training, reskilling, and upskilling. And some define reskilling as taking workers whose jobs are either highly specialized or broadly generalized and help them gain transferable or cross-functional skills like collaboration, communication, critical thinking, soft skills that are becoming increasingly important as our work evolves. Reskilling will help folks transfer or transition to a different job. Upskilling is enhancing the abilities of employees in their current jobs so they continue to grow as their tasks and responsibilities evolve. There is certainly overlap in these categories, but the bottom line is that as leaders in our agencies, we have to figure out more ways to support learning and development. This shift in how we work also presents deep implications for management and governance. And those skills and how we practice in those areas will need to evolve as new issues surface. Data literacy will perhaps need to be a required skill for all management. Ethical considerations in the use of data, my personal cause, needs to be championed by all of leadership and understood and acknowledged by everyone who uses data in their work. This really means developing a continuing awareness as well as a reflection on how our resulting decisions and actions could potentially continue the very inequities we are hoping to address through our services and programs. I think it's fair to say that for many of us, this is not an explicit way in how we approach our work. Yes, the data usually always tells a story, but is our interpretation of that data free from bias? As I mentioned, staff learning and development is a vital element of our management practice in the auditor's office. From the very beginning of her administration, Auditor Bump placed an emphasis on professional development. And in fact, in my interview for the job, she noted that one of the goals for the person she would hire had to be to figure out a way to support professional development given the budget constraints at that time. I'm happy to say that we have continued to support training and development for the past 8 years, and will continue to do so. Most staff are eager to enhance their skills, but with AI being incorporated into our processes, we may get to the point where it is imperative to do continuous training in order for us to continue to do the work that we do. Our staff will have to understand how to adopt or use the technologies, some of which have yet to be developed. Earlier this year, Deloitte did an article on AI and pointed out that smart technology will not result in smart outcomes unless the technologies are designed to promote smart adoption. We need to have a workforce that is willing and able to accept changes in the way that they do their work, and have a desire to be successful in incorporating new ways of working into their daily life. Also, creating a culture of lifelong learning within our agencies will support not just the smart adoption of new technology, but also keep staff engaged in the work that they do. Edward Hess wrote a book, and the title is Humility is the New Smart: Rethinking Human Excellence in the Smart Machine Age. And he writes, the differentiator will be the quality of our human workforce, having employees who are able to think, relate, and learn continuously. So what does all this mean? As we all think about the years ahead, there are certain things that we know for sure. The demand for services provided by the state will increase. The number of state workers will likely decrease. It's just the basic facts of our population demographics and the realities of our budgets. Doing more with less will continue to be our mantra. And in order to do a better job with less resources, we will need to rely on augmenting our processes, and maybe that means integrating AI into much of our work. But we will have to be strategic about how we incorporate AI and think about broadening our efforts beyond a project-by-project basis. We will have to be open to working on multiple and perhaps even competing levels, revamping our legacy systems to work differently in a digital age, while at the same time exploring new ways to solve new problems that we will face. Not only will we have to look at our management practices, but we will also need to critically review our internal administrative processes. Are we relying on operational models that are woefully outdated, but because we've dropped a chat box in there somewhere, we think we're good to go? And when we work with vendors and service providers to build our AI capacity, are we ready to navigate the world of intellectual property rights and what that means for our tools and resulting work? Expanding our capacity by investing in learning, and just as important, supporting experimenting in the AI space will be critical. The public sector will still unlikely be able to compete with the tech startups that offer unlimited vacation days, stock options, craft beer on tap in the kitchen. But what we can work to offer is an environment that values skills, professional development, along with the opportunity to do good to benefit the residents of the Commonwealth. Where do we go from here? Part of our shared vision is working together to make the most meaningful impact for the people of the Commonwealth as the demand for services continues to rise and the funding available to support those services stays stagnant. As we've heard today, advancements in AI technology is rapidly advancing, even more than we can probably imagine. And our acceptance of that technology as a natural evolution of our work needs to grow as well. We also need to be more open about sharing data across agencies and realizing and accepting the interconnectedness of all of our efforts. I end with this quote from Angela Zutavran. She's a VP with Booz Allen Hamilton. "The most powerful weapon in business today is the alliance between the mathematical smarts of machines and the imaginative human intellect of great leaders." Thank you.